This video has taken me 2 years to make. 2 years ago, the world was taken storm by my first deepfake video where I put my own face onto Rick Astley in his hit single. For my next deepfake, I similarly chose a red-headed celebrity, and naturally I landed on Obi Wan Kenobi. The reason for choosing Obi Wan was the same as for choosing Rick Astley, obviously the similar physical appearance and the memes, duh.
Hello there.
While finishing up this video, I also thought that I would be releasing it just in time for a third coincidence. There is a little TV show you might have heard of, came out kind of recently. It happened to have the same character in it, you might have heard of it. I thought that I was going to be making this video just in time for its release, but it turned out I was 2 months late, so yeah, it didn't really work out on that one. So with my new celebrity choice, I had to figure out a better method than my last deepfake video, and I'll just try and, as quickly as possible, run through a couple of the things that I did differently and just some of the stuff I learned on this project. The first one was to switch which deepfake program I used. I originally was using a program called Face Swap, which was much more user-friendly, but didn't give as good results. And the one I used this time was called Deepface Lab, which is kind of the original deepfaking program. It's not really a program even, it's just a series of files that you run sequentially one by one. The actual process that it's doing is the same as the program I was using initially, but it's just a lot more in-depth, and if you do it right, it gives you much better results. Right away, I was dealing with a much more difficult destination face, the one that I was taking my face and putting it onto. Given that it was a movie, there was lots of motion blur, lots of dynamic lighting with different colors, and on top of that, the character had a beard that I had to paste over. Initially, I was just going to do the same thing that I did with the original video, having it be my face without my glasses, but with a beard to match Obi-Wan's. But after trying that and losing a bunch of time, I realized, actually, I kind of want to include my glasses. The first thing I did correctly was using what's called a pre-trained model. Basically, this is something that you can download that other people have uploaded online. And it basically is like a template that you can use to speed up your process. There's a lot of settings that you can pick when you choose which one you want to download that I won't go into. The bottom line is it basically, since it's an AI model that's doing all this work, it basically has to learn how to create any human face before it learns how to create the specific ones that you're giving it. So if you use a pre-trained model, it basically already knows how to kind of create a human face. And then you basically say, okay, now do these specific ones, these being my face and Obi-Wan's. So if you have a pre-trained model, it means you can just skip to that second part where you just give it your faces and it already knows how to create them that much quicker. The second thing I did was manual alignment for missing frames. You'll notice in my first video that there were different like skipping spots where there was just a blank in the frame where it didn't quite recognize that there was a face. And in this version, I made sure that that didn't happen, so there's no little like pops or skips like that. Similarly to this, I did what's called XSEG training, XSEG, I don't know, which is basically manually setting the mask of the face. So you choose which part of the face you want, and in this case, I've done the whole one. Doing this manually allowed me to include the corners of my glasses, which was very important in the final video. You might not be able to tell, but it just adds that little bit of realism where the glasses pokes out to the side instead of being cut off like it would have done if I had just set it to automatic. This also meant that I had to go through and manually select every single frame and cut out different obtrusions like hands, microphones, whatever was in front of the face that was not a part of the face. I basically had to tell the computer, hey, this finger that's covering their nose or whatever, that's not actually a part of their face, that's something else. And the computer's like, got it, ignores it. But that's enough of that, let's move on to all the bad things I did. The first one, which will haunt me to my grave, is the fact that I didn't settle on a final cut permanently. This is gonna be the video at the very beginning. There were just all these memes that I wanted to include, all these little scenes. I was like, oh, that one's good, that one's good. And it got to be too long of a video. Even now it's at like 4 minutes long, which might be too long for a lot of people, but if I had just chosen a final version that I set on and didn't change, that would have made the process a lot more simpler. Grammar, don't care. Another thing I did incorrectly was changing the destination footage. There were some 4K versions of the movies that I wanted just for the extra detail, and can't go into a lot of detail, but that screwed it up, and I should have stuck with the 1080p, the final version, that's it. And lastly, not XSEGing, whatever, not manually masking all the frames with the obtrusions. I was told online that you could just pick like one or two and the computer would do it automatically, but every single frame where there's something in front of the face has to be selected manually so that it knows to basically put that over top of the final result. And again, somebody told me that I didn't have to do that, so I didn't think I had to, and that was wrong. So now the results. What actually came out the other end? Some pretty good stuff, actually. I sometimes I impress myself. There's still plenty of issues, plenty of fuzziness, and it's just the AI can't do everything perfectly, especially given that there's a lot of blurriness and just weird stuff going on in the film that it can't necessarily do well. For one thing, Obi Wan's beard was kind of whack. For the most part, it did it pretty well, but there's just certain scenes where it kind of morphs my face and his just because it can't really figure out what a beard is exactly. There were certain spots where it kind of stretched the face because it thought the beard sticking out past the chin was the chin, and so I thought I had a really long face and kind of like morphed my face to be longer. That being said, though, there was a lot of good stuff that came out, even with all of the little difficulties added on. Of all the things that I did well, the pre-trained model was the best addition. The results it gave were so crisp because the model was just already well trained that I can't even. The coolest result is by far my glasses. The fact that I was able to include those in the footage and it came out as well as it did. I was not expecting it to be this crispy. Even the refraction of the lenses, when you can kind of look through to the wall behind, it can recognize that it's clear, that it'll show whatever color is behind the glasses, and then it'll also show the little stem of, the side piece. I'm amazed that it picked that up and that it did it so well in the instances where it did. And similarly to my first video, but in even higher detail, what's crazy is that the AI can pick up my teeth, my crooked, ugly teeth. You can see right there, it's literally my teeth. Kind of creepy a little bit. And just all around, I mean, the fact of just the added detail compared to my first one is just so crazy. Again, even given all the kinds of things that I was trying to add in, the beard, the glasses, and the motion blur, all that stuff, it still did it so well. It's just kind of crazy. So in the end, what did I learn? Bottom line, do it right the first time. There's going to be a lot of manual stuff where you just have to go through every single frame. There's so many things that are monotonous and that you have to do manually, and I wasn't aware of all of them, but at the end of the day, sometimes you have to go through every single frame and, rotoscope or change the color, whatever, all these different things. It sucks, but you have to do it. Second, like I said before, just settle on the final cut. That's it. Just pick it and go from there. And then third, which I'll probably do for my next deepfake video, whatever that is to not do everything all at once. I had the beard and I had the glasses, which they turned out well, but it just made things not quite as believable just because of fuzziness and, whatever. Don't do everything all at once. Just try the glasses one time, try the beard, whatever. Do one thing at a time. But in the end, with the pre-trained model and with all the stuff that I've learned, my next deepfake video will be all that much better and all that much crispier. And, I can't unlearn all of the mistakes. So there's that. So if you sat through however long of a video this is when I cut it down, thank you for doing that. I know it's going to be long because I love to talk. And there's just so many things to explain, so many cool things about artificial intelligence. And the fact of the matter is that I basically am Obi Wan at this point.